Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the webinar Fogo de Chão Investment Opportunity in Canada, which is being organized in a partnership between the Brazil-Canada Chamber of Commerce and Debut Trends. We are here today to present the restaurant chain Fogo de Chão, which is coming to Canada, and to discuss the investment opportunities related to this project. My name is Mariana Nadai, Senior Market Manager at the BCCC, and I'll be your host today. Before we start, I want to introduce the Brazil-Canada Chamber of Commerce for those who don't know the Chamber. We are an independent, not-for-profit association maintained by our associated members. We have been establishing connections between Brazil and Canada for nearly 50 years, strengthening bilateral trade and investment relations and facilitating the exchange of experience and good practice in both the private and public sectors. We offer our members information and networking in addition to facilitating the connection with the governments of both countries. Our extensive network of contact includes companies of all sizes, as well as universities, not-for-profit organizations, government agencies, innovation ecosystems, and entrepreneurs conducting business between Brazil and Canada. We connect our members with potential partners and customers through targeted introductions and brand visibility, sponsorship opportunities at our events, social media campaigns, and distribution of institutional materials. If you are interested in learning more about the BCCC and how to become a member, please visit our website, www.brascanchamber.org, or talk to us directly. Send an email to info@brascanchamber.org. I also would like to remind you that if you have any questions during the webinar, please use the Q&A box on your Zoom screen. We will do our best to answer all the questions during the session, but if any of the questions can be answered live, we will revert to you after the event. And for any clarification in Portuguese, you can contact Henrique from Debut Trends through the email henrique@debuttrends.ca. So, without further ado, to start our event today, I would like to invite Ambassador Vanja Campos da Nóbrega, General Counsel of Brazil in Toronto, to say a few words. Ambassador, the mic is yours.
Good afternoon, boa tarde, bonjour à tous, and welcome. First of all, I would like to thank the BCCC for the initiative to start a new chapter in this Chamber of Commerce dedicated to investment opportunity in Canada. And what could be better than to start with Fogo de Chão? It's definitely one of the best Brazilian and international brands, one of the best steakhouses in worldwide, and certainly in Brazil. Fogo de Chão, to start with this name, is emblematic of the deep Brazilian roots, and its name refers to how to prepare, to broil, and to serve the best meals to clients, family, and friends. Back in the day, the gauchos, or gaúchos like we say, in the southern states of Brazil, used to broil their meals and meats in a fire on the ground. That's where the name comes from. When Michael, Henrique, and Flávio visited me at the Brazilian consulate in Toronto some weeks ago to bring me the news that Fogo de Chão will open a restaurant in Toronto, not only one, but several restaurants in Canada, I was thrilled to hear that. Since then, every time I share the news, everybody's very excited about it. So it's indeed a wonderful opportunity to hear from Debut Trends how we can be partners in one of the best steakhouses in the world. Personally, I am very enthusiastic about Steakhouse's restaurant. But the good news is that Fogo de Chão has kept up with the times and offers not only meats, but also all kinds of vegetables, salads, and fruits. But the details I'll leave to Jim Bauer, CEO, and Michael Wilkins, CDO of Debut Trends, to share more about this very exciting opportunity for investors. We would love to hear about your financial plans, but also about your policies regarding diversity and inclusion on the Fogo de Chão Canada project. Thank you very much for letting me introduce the first BCCC Investment Opportunity in Canada webinar, and I wish you all good luck.
Thank you, Ambassador. Now I would like to introduce our panelists today, Jim Bowell, CEO at Debut Trends, and Michael Wilkins, CDO at Debut Trends, who will present the Fogo de Chão project in Canada. So Jim, Michael, please, the stage is yours.
Thank you. So my name is Jim Bowen. I am the Chief Development Officer at Debut Group. I've been asked to just give you a little bit of background on myself. I'm a McGill graduate. I have spent about 30 years in the world of commercial real estate, mostly in Southeast Asia and other parts of Asia, specializing in retail and entertainment development. I first ran a retail development consultancy in Singapore on behalf of a Toronto-based company, which introduced me to developers and projects across the region. I then worked for Peter Monk's company, Trizec Properties. I was their Vice President of Development based in Hong Kong and later Tokyo, working on a multitude of mixed-use developments. I worked for a Chinese family based in Singapore and then later Shanghai on their projects. I was then head of Forec, which is the world's largest theme park design company based here in Toronto. And I ran their business across Asia from Shanghai. For the last 5 years, I've been working with Michael, who you're going to meet in a minute, in the Debut Group, doing resort and hotel development in Mexico and the Caribbean. And I'll let Mike tell you more about that. But first, I know what you really want to talk about is Fogo. So let's play a quick video to introduce Fogo, and I'll then come back and tell you more.
We wait, we anticipate, to escape into fun, into flavor, into something we've never experienced before. But when the night finally arrives and the sparks of our anticipation fade, our desire for an exciting meal out is met with meh. At Fogo de Chão, that craving of anticipation isn't a fleeting feeling. It's one you're rewarded with time and time and time again. Where stories are forged in flavor and fire. Where wines come from somewhere more exotic than California. And every question starts with, what is this? And ends with, what can I try next? A dining experience defined by more than flavor, but discovery. And more discoveries are on the horizon. Because just as the opportunity for adventure never stops coming by your table, so too will we never stop discovering new ways to deliver it. Welcome to a new age of dining. Welcome to what's next.
So, yeah, we're excited. We met with Fogo back in November last year. We learned a great deal about them in the meantime. Fogo came to the US 25 years ago, and they started in Dallas. They now have more than 50 restaurants across the country, and they're opening restaurants at the rate of 1 or 2 a month. They're on a very aggressive schedule at the moment. They have filed for a New York Stock Exchange listing, and I think that's what's driving this international expansion. They have restaurants in Mexico, 6 locations. They are in Dubai and Jeddah. There are discussions underway with several South and Central American countries. And then, of course, the company owns the first 8 in Brazil. They came to Toronto, met with us, and chose us actually fairly quickly. And I believe it was based on our international experience, that Mike and myself have always worked internationally. Although we're resident here in Toronto, our businesses span the world. He and I have worked together, not continually, but intermittently over a period of about 35 years, all over the world. Our F&B experience, food and beverage experience, really stems from the hotel development that we've done. You know, a hotel has multiple restaurants and entertainment centers in it. So we have gained quite a bit of experience over the years. We fairly quickly went to Dallas and met with senior management. We then went to Miami and attended an international conference that they held with all of their franchise partners and most senior staff from around the country. And we came away with a very, very good feeling about the organization and the people. In an industry that experiences high turnover of people and pays minimum wage, Fogo is completely different. They are very, very dedicated to promoting from within and nurturing good people. They have very little turnover for a restaurant. The efficiencies of the operation really impressed us. Now I'll touch on that in a minute, but throughout the organization, they have found cost-saving methods that really add to the bottom line. They're very strong on support and training. Our deal with them requires intensive training for our people in Dallas, multiple people from the US to come to Canada to open the restaurants and work with our people. To the tune of 25 weeks of training prior to opening at some levels of the organization. And we really bonded with the synergy between entertainment and food and beverage. Going to Fogo is really an experience. You see that in the number of reservations they get for special occasions like birthdays and anniversaries, office parties. I mean, they get far more than the average restaurant would. But the efficiencies of the organization are worth mentioning. The entire wait staff of a typical restaurant has really been eliminated. When you arrive at Fogo, you are met by the customer service representative who takes you to your table and kind of checks in on you throughout the evening. But you're served by the gaucho who cooks the meat. He's very much on display. You see that from every position in the restaurant, and then they come to the table to serve you. So it's not like a typical restaurant where a waiter comes, you give them an order, they go into the kitchen has to then scramble to make that individual dish. You're dining from the minute you sit down. I mean, the meat is just coming at you from all sides. So that is one of the key efficiencies in eliminating the wait staff. The smaller kitchen size that they have really helps. Because so much of the cooking is kind of done front of house and done prior to the guests arriving, their kitchens tend to be about 20% smaller than a typical restaurant kitchen, which allows more front of house seating, which is revenue earning. They're very low on wastage. They use offcuts of the meat that is on the spit in other dishes. For instance, in the States, they offer an $8 hamburger, which is actually very hard to do in a restaurant like Fogo. And it's a bit of a lost leader, but it's completely made up of scraps of meat that come off the larger cuts. And you see that throughout the organization. They have much higher table turns than a typical restaurant because you start dining pretty much from the minute you sit down, you're finished quicker and you're full. And they can turn a table 3 and sometimes 4 nights in an evening, which is really unheard of in the restaurant business, which again, more seats leads to more revenue. And they have much longer hours of operation. Something we hadn't really understood until we got into the thick of it is that they start trading from almost 8 o'clock in the morning because they're hosting corporate events. The way the restaurant is designed is very much like a hotel ballroom. It can be divided down into different sized private rooms that are rented by companies, and they do it because the catering far exceeds anything they can do on their own. So starting at 8 a.m., there are corporate diners, and then at the back end, they have something called Bar Fogo, which is sort of separating the bar from the restaurant, but offering a slightly different experience, more like an entertainment type bar that trades on into the evening. So we can operate, from early morning hours until the times that bars are forced to close here in Toronto, all of which, really adds to revenue. Vanja touched on it earlier, that Fogo is really more than just meat. About 60% of their sales are meat, but the rest is seafood and vegetables. And that's to cater to, obviously a broader market segment. They have what they call the market table, which is really a salad bar on steroids. I mean, it's absolutely phenomenal. You are actually trying to hold yourself back from filling up at the market table to give yourself room for the meat, which of course is exactly the point. But they're able to cater to vegetarians, to vegans, to people that just eat seafood. They can have exactly the same experience that a carnivore can have. So that led us to entering into a master development agreement for Canada. We are the exclusive franchisee and developer of franchises. Our commitment is to build 10 locations across the country over 10 years. We will try and double that. We'll try and build 2 per year, but our commitment is at least 10. We are in advanced discussions for a restaurant here in Toronto. We are at the lease stage at a restaurant in downtown Vancouver, and we've begun looking at Ottawa, and think we have a pretty special site there. So we're well underway, and that's it. So on that, I'll turn over to my partner, Michael Wilkins, and first we'll show you a little bit more about Fogo.
From Alaska to Cape Horn, across 2 continents, these American horsemen have different styles and names.
This is the story, the family tradition, the gauche way of living. 4 generations, people working with this and living.
That you actually would not accept a trade to a city without Fogo de Chão. Is that true?
Brazil, eat as the Brazilians do. Natalie took me for an authentic Rio experience at Fogo de Chão.
Expertly prepared and carved tableside by gaucho chefs like this handsome man we see here.
Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Michael Wilkins. I'm the founder and the CEO of the Debut Development Group. We've been operating for 40 years internationally in the hospitality industry, both as developers and as operators of high-end restaurants, bars, and hotels. We're currently involved in a number of hotel developments in the Caribbean and in Mexico. And as Jim mentioned earlier, we've accumulated literally decades of experience in the setup and operation of sophisticated food and beverage operations, high volume restaurants in major cities all around the world. So the Debut team has probably one of the most extensive experience bases in food and beverage operations literally anywhere in the world. And as Jim mentioned, we're based in Canada, but most of our activities historically have been all around the world. So we're particularly happy to be bringing Fogo de Chão into Canada. It allows us to do business closer to where we live, which we're looking forward to. I'd like to talk, Jim described Fogo, and you've seen the videos. It's a really incredible company. It's an incredible food and beverage operation, incredible restaurant operation. And after almost a lifetime of living in the hospitality and food and beverage industry, it takes a lot to blow me away by seeing new operations. But when I experienced Fogo and really understood how they operate and why they're so successful, that did blow me away. And that led to Jim and I acquiring the exclusive rights for Canada. Their financial, like from an investment point of view, and those of you who are attending this webinar who might be interested to become investing partners in Fogo de Chão Canada will obviously be interested in the financial side of things. They have 50 restaurants in the United States, and they're opening all the time, as Jim mentioned. So 50 will soon be 60. Their average revenue per store across all 50 locations in the United States is $9 million per annum. And for those of you that know anything about the restaurant industry, that's a remarkable performance. To be able to sustain an average gross revenue of $9 million year in, year out across 50 stores in different locations all around the United States is an incredible achievement and would not be possible if the Fogo de Chão restaurants didn't have a very high level of repeat business, which they do. But more remarkably is the profitability of the restaurants. And because of the operational efficiencies that Jim mentioned earlier, they're able to deliver an average EBITDA, earnings before interest, tax, depreciation, and amortization, across their entire American chain of 26%. And that's a remarkable statistic for any business, but for the restaurant business, it's truly remarkable. So 26% average EBITDA across 50 restaurants in the United States is sustainable, and this is sustained EBITDA. It's not a peak. Sustained EBITDA is a remarkable testament to their financial success. And then even more impressive is that they achieve an average cash on cash return on their investment of 42% per annum, which means that for every dollar that they invest in a restaurant, they earn an average of 42 cents per year, which is truly, again, remarkable. As Jim mentioned, they are in the process of listing on the New York Stock Exchange. And if anybody is interested in knowing more about that or more about the company, they have a S1 filing with the SEC, which is available online. So if anybody wants to really dig in deep into the fundamentals of Fogo's business and their finances, it's available online in their S1 SEC filing. For Canada, we are in the process now, and very shortly will complete establishing a limited partnership structure. And we are inviting limited partners to join us in the expansion of Fogo in Canada. And we're offering potential investors in the limited partnership, we think, an attractive investment proposal, which is the limited partners would receive a 10% per annum preferred return on their investment. They would also have a priority return of capital, which means that the general partner would not take any distributions from the business whatsoever until the limited partners have been repaid in full, plus their 10% preferred return. And then once the capital is returned in full, limited partner investors would receive 50% of all distributable cash from the business in perpetuity, forever. So the potential return on investment is actually very high, as a combination of the 10% preferred return and a 50% participation in distributions forever. Investors will also become members in the Founders Club, the Fogo de Chão Canada Founders Club, which has many non-financial benefits, including a 20% discount on all food and beverage consumption and retail purchases, priority table bookings, priority invitations to special events, an annual dinner for Founders Club members, and advance notification of all special activities and openings. So the Founders Club will be comprised of a small group of specially invited people, plus the limited partner investors. The limited partnership structure provides many benefits for the investor. And the limited partnership jurisdiction will be Ontario, Canada. And there are many advantages, but the principal advantages are that it's a tax flow-through device. So there's no Canadian tax at the limited partnership level. The distributions flow through to the limited partners, who then report that income in their own tax jurisdiction, wherever that may be, whether it's Canada or Brazil or somewhere else. So the distributions flow out from the limited partnership without any LP level taxation. There's also complete confidentiality, and that's important for some people. Some people don't mind, but the identity of the limited partner investors is confidential. It's not public knowledge. So if an investor wishes to remain anonymous, he or she can do so. And the maximum financial liability for a limited partner is the amount of their investment. So let's say somebody invests $250,000, just to pick a number. No matter what happens, the financial liability cannot exceed that number. So there's no possible way of having a further demand on an investor for additional cash under any circumstances. And Jim and I will be the majority shareholders in the general partner. And as the general partner, we are providing several guarantees to the limited partners the most significant of which is the capital cost of each restaurant. And, you know, a common question is what happens if the restaurant fit out goes over budget? You know, if I'm a limited partner investor, do I have to provide more money? The answer is no, you don't. The general partner is guaranteeing the capital budget for any restaurant. So there won't be any cash call down the road on limited partners. And another aspect of the Fogo relationship, which makes it so attractive for us and our partners, is the risk mitigation considerations. Even though our legal relationship with Fogo is as a franchisee, exclusive franchisee, functionally it's more like a joint venture partnership. And their commitment to operational support, and as Jim mentioned, intensive training of staff and management, mitigates risk because we are following a formula, exactly following a formula which has been so successful in the United States and elsewhere, and in Brazil and in Mexico and so on. So we're following a playbook which has been honed over more than 40 years of operations. So it's not quite paint by numbers, but it's close. So there's minimal risk, no risk of operational, experimenting in any way with the operation. We're following the formula. We're also following their standard operating procedures and their menus and their recipes. And so everything that they've learned over the last 40 years and that they incorporate into their restaurant operations is available to us, and will be incorporated in our restaurants in Canada. Also, every site for Fogo de Chão restaurant in Canada has to be approved by Fogo de Chão head office. There's no risk, and they have extensive experience of picking the best sites in the cities they're located in. So we have the security of their inspection and approval of each location and the benefit of their locational experience in understanding where their restaurants work and where they don't work so well, what kind of trade area is best, what kind of trade area is weak. So we have full support from them in site selection. We will only be taking the restaurants into major trade areas. So the cities in Canada where we will, look to open Fogo are kind of obvious, but it's the GTA, the Golden Horseshoe, Vancouver, Calgary, Edmonton, Ottawa, and maybe some secondary cities, but we're going to stay focused on the major trade areas where there is proven success for high volume restaurants. So, you can look at downtown Toronto and point at, a dozen or more restaurants that easily do in excess of $10 or $12 million per year in revenue. And those are the locations we want to be in. We don't want to be in a questionable suburb. We want to be right where the action is in a major trade area. And all of those factors collectively provide a high level of risk mitigation. And the last thing I'd like to mention is that in her introductory comments, Ambassador Wanja, and thank you very much, Ambassador, for those comments, mentioned diversity and inclusion. And from our own exposure, when Jim and I and some of our other colleagues went to Dallas and went to Miami and became indoctrinated, one of the things that really, really impressed us was exactly their policies of inclusion and diversity. They are, how can I say it? They are a fully inclusive employer, and we will be a fully inclusive employer in Canada as well. And they encourage diversity as a proactive hiring strategy, and we will do the same here. So they and we are fully committed to a program of diversity and inclusion. That's the end of my remarks. Thank you very much, everybody. I'll sign off now and hand back to our host. Thank you.
Thank you, Michael. And so I guess this is the end of our webinar today. And on behalf of the BCCC, I would like to thank again Ambassador Vanja, Jim, and Michael for participating in today's webinar. And I'm personally very excited and anxious about this project because I'm passionate about the Brazilian churrasco. So be fast, guys. And I would also like to thank our annual sponsors, Vale, EDC, Landing Mining, Brookfield, Sescom Barrio, TMX Group, BMA Law, and 4B Mining for their support. And for more information about the BCCC and upcoming events, please follow us on our social media channels or sign up for our newsletter via our website. And for more information about Fogo de Chão in Canada, please visit their website, fogodechão.debuttrends.ca, or send them an email, info@debuttrends.ca. Thank you again, and I wish you all a great evening. Bye-bye.